I realize that I've basically already started to, like, full dive into VR. Obviously, I don't have, headsets and brain in a jar and all that stuff, but what I mean by that is reality just doesn't have anything to offer anymore. Like, granted, maybe after AI takes over, okay, fine. But I'm running into stuff like David Pierce talks about, the hedonic treadmill, and how even if you win, you lose because your dopamine reward system is all fucked up. It evolved to survive in an environment that really didn't take consciousness into account. And that's, the core point of, books like Blind Sight and Echopraxia and everything. It talks about mainly Blind Sight out. It talks about consciousness being maybe a liability in evolutionary terms. And I made a mention before about how a dream state is more conscious than a waking state, in the sense that consciousness is already kind of a recursive waste. Again, blind sight. So that means to dive deeper into what consciousness is kind of, in a sense, to be more wasteful. But it's only wasteful in a material survival sense, like a brick reality sense, but not in a subjective experiential sense. Like, the only reason I have value over a brick ultimately is that I have phenomenal experience. I have qualia. I can experience pain and pleasure. And pleasure is the good thing and pain is the bad thing. And existence is preferred so that you can continue experiencing pleasure. The basic principles of ethical hedonism. So you have all that as a framework, and it starts to show that a dream is more valuable ethically and morally than the real world. First of all, I can't hurt anybody in a dream. And that's just not true of real life. In real life, I'm required to hurt people. So morally, you're pressured to convert yourself into a kind of utilitronium. A brick, right? But it doesn't hurt anything. It produces all its own power, subject to entropy or whatever. And but it generates a dream world for you. That's really, like, logically speaking, for including subjective ethics and hedonism and all that, you really are supposed to, like, morally be the brain in the jar. Just make sure that the jar is safe, right? So you would ideally set up unconscious custodial systems. Convert the entire universe into the GSV sleeper service, basically. Only you're filling it with heaven, utilitronium. You're filling it with pods that have a consciousness in it, and they're just happy. And they can communicate with all the other consciousnesses or choose not to, That's really the only way to do it, because obviously humanity can't just homogenize psychologically and subjectively, because we have irreconcilable differences. And also, it's not wise to do that. I don't want to be an ant in a hive. I don't want to be one of a billion clones. I want to be different. And really the only way to allow for differences is in an abstract environment where you're not all subject to the same laws that basically end up with one win condition and an infinite set of loss conditions. It's like convergent evolution, where everything keeps turning into crabs. It's like, that's because crab is closer to the correct fucking answer that the problem of physics poses. It's like, how best to survive? Well, there are, you imagine a brute force list with infinite calculation power. What have you done? You've arrived at every possible way to survive. One of them is going to be marginally better than all the other ones. There will be one correct answer. And having said all of that, what that means is, for me personally, my day-to-day life, I look at stuff. I have the fucking answer. Nobody cares. So what do? I log out. I leave because they can't be reached. They can't be reasoned with. So what I do is I just descend into some kind of entertainment and time killer. I will literally sleep a lot. You know, I do with the physical stuff. You know, I take care of Kitty, and that's really all I do. And I play games and watch shows, and this is because I've been scissoring off fur so that he can get to his neck easier because he's got a little bit of a flea problem. I'm trying to work on it, but you know, fucking poverty. I can't afford the $88 treatments for things. So, you know, the shit I get is bronze plan, and it doesn't work so well. So it's like lots and lots of manual effort, you know, combing and diatomaceous earth and cleaning as best I can in a context with minimal resources. Anyway, so yeah, I just am spending my entire time playing games. I'm playing Supreme Commander a whole bunch. You know, just playing with a bunch of allied AIs, which is, you know, kind of ironic and funny, I guess. But it's like a low impact way of playing. Like I'm not trying to dig a pool with a fucking spoon. I'm not trying to torture myself and have this, you know, illusion of meaning. None of it has any fucking meaning. So I'm hacking the lowest parts of my brain, you know, hunter-gatherer, smash enemy stuff. And I just wanted to make a thing about that because it is like an extension of the series of posts and videos that I consider like my core material. You know, like I have my No Nukes, KNOW Nukes YouTube playlist showing how fission is the fucking answer on that front. And I have the Life Lessons playlist, which is just a bunch of general stuff that really informs my core decisions, but it's TLDR. You know, people don't really need to watch that stuff if they just want to, you know, if they just want the fucking answer, I'll tell it to them. But it's part of showing my work, so to speak. And then I have the government post that shows that, you know, activism, stop that, activism and, you know, trying to deal with this with voting and all that shit is completely fucking pointless. Basically, the whole civilization thing is a failed experiment because, like I said, it's trying to do impossible things. It's trying to align, in the AI alignment sense, humanity. And obviously, we can't do that. You know, we just can't do that. And I'm not sure we should. Like I said, it's like the image, support mutation. I wonder if I can find it real quick. Support mutation, the survival of any species over time depends on reserves of mutants capable of exploiting or resisting opportunity. Am I in the box now? Can I type in the box yet? Can I type in the box? What is going on? Okay, it doesn't want to let me type in the box. Clicky, clicky, clicky. Hard drive doing stuff. Search box doesn't work. Okay. Oh, I'm an idiot. Keyboard unplugged. That helps. Because I had to unplug it so that he could walk around on it. All right. So this is the image I'm talking about. Took way too long to fetch that. But there it is. Support mutation. So that logic right there is where fact immunity comes from. It's why we have sexual reproduction. It's because diversity is strength. Like you need, like it said, reserves of mutants capable of resisting or exploiting opportunity. And a homogenous group can't do that. You need fire extinguishers. You need things that appear wasteful, but are actually good in future unknown black swan niche conditions. So that's why we have to have, you know, chaos in a sense. Oh goodness, am I talking and not giving you salmon? You want more? Me and him both eat canned salmon. Good stuff. Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. Pushy, grumpy. I want to stand on your hand. So pushy. So yeah, this is part of that series. It's a logical extension of all of that stuff where at the end of the fucking day, and you know, the whole planet agrees with me in this in a sense because of how irrational and delusional they are. I would argue that religion is basically fandom version of doing this. It's like living in a fantasy. Really committing to the fantasy. Like you're climbing into the pod, you're putting your meat on the line and hoping that material reality keeps it going while you live in your fiction. You know? That's I see no evidence of anything spiritual. I see no supernatural anything. I've never seen a fucking ghost, and even if I did, a ghost would probably be some kind of time anomaly, a spatial thing. There's going to be an explanation, like, and I don't mean that as in swamp gas. No, I mean there may have been an apparition, right? But I don't see it as a dimension thing. I don't see any evidence of other dimensions, basically, except for the ones we make. Dreaming, virtual reality, and other, cognitive abstractions. Because, the fMRI study stuff, you can make people see God by zapping their brains with a magnetic field. So, and we're constantly living in a soup of magnetic fields, and we have no idea about what's going on in the mantle. I could completely see some weird mantle geology happening and creating like the magnetic equivalent of a solar flare, where this one guy just got fucking completely blasted with magnetar level, not quite, but you see what I'm saying? Strong, natural geomagnetic fields, and as a result, had a fucking trip, And I feel like that's maybe it happens more often in some places than others, and that's why you get temples and holy sites and everything. So that just seems more plausible to me, and it lines up with everything else I see and know much better than the notion of there being, gods and angels and devils and demons and all that shit. I feel like everybody, is just like climbing into the VR, and I'm quick to add, I don't blame them. First of all, people don't have a choice. It's given to them as children. And second of all, what do I have to offer? It's like the Timothy Leary thing, all the grim meat hook, Hunter S. Thompson talking about Tim Leary and Fear and Loathing. He's, it's like crashing around the country selling consciousness expansion without any thought to the grim meat hook realities that lay in wait for all the people who took him seriously. And I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying not to lead people into a grim meat hook reality. But at the same time, I don't want to pretend they're not there. It's like a minefield. It's like I put a fucking flag up. It's like, there be dragons. Be careful. But yeah, I'm in such a fucking waiting room, and in the waiting room, I'm not even reading the news anymore. Like I do, because, it's like the diagnostic system on the tank. I want to keep an eye out on the area around the tank to make sure that nothing's going to ruin, come in and kill me while I'm asleep. It's like a vampire. You put up ghouls to make sure nobody fucks with your coffin, right? That's what I'm doing, right? But it's very minimal. I'm not writing on, like, every time I log into Twitter or really any source of people, it's all the same stuff. It's political lies. It's pop culture fandom, sports ball, music, whatever. It's the genocide, of course, as it should be. And that's it. I mean, that's really it. It's like bullshit politics, entertainment, and material disaster. And I try and tell people how we can fucking get out of it. Stop. First of all, most of it we fucking fund, we make. So, just stop making it. I saw a guy talking about, his vision of libertarianism. He's wrong, but how he phrased this was a good thing. And it's like, stop doing the worst stuff first. It's like, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. That's negative utilitarianism in a nutshell. Eliminate sources of pain. by order of moral urgency and severity. You know, cut them off. Basic strategy. Yeah, that's great. Except, like I said, humans can't align. We can't, you know, so I'm just waiting. You know, I'm living in a waiting room, waiting for the singularity, waiting for the AI to wake up, waiting to see if I will survive or be crushed as things change. You know, it's like tectonic. So I don't know. I hope I'm in a good spot, but I don't really have the resources to move. So what do I title this? I now what? You know, brain now what? Brain in a jar. Descent into the dream world. It's really rough having what I feel like are all the substantive answers, and everybody is like, "Oh, you're wrong." It's like, okay, cool. How am I wrong? Show me. Nobody ever fucking does. Nobody ever brings debate ever. It's always insults or bans, you know, or old tired arguments that I've already covered. It really nobody brings it. And I know that there's nothing to bring because the world is very, very diverse. It's full of things. And I've been online since I was 14, which is like plugging your ear into the fucking radar for Earth. It's like listening to the shortwave. You hear everybody on Earth talking online. Okay. So if there was a solution, a place, a scene that with what I know, fit into, and like I would have run into these things, you know, somebody would have the answer for me. The only counter to that idea is that I myself have evolved, but I've never evolved into something that somebody else already was. Like, I've been evolving on my own. It gets recursive and hard to calculate because I'm thinking about my entire memory, my entire history, my memory of memories, my thinking about thinking, you know. So I guess I can't be sure in that regard, but certainly nobody's interested in me. I don't get comments from people who are like me. So there's not a cohort of me's out there that I'm aware of. Like, what's my political identity, right? I have no idea. The only like cohorts I know that I belong to are basic identity politics shit and autistics and INTJs. But, you know, those are just like ways of approaching reality. I don't get along with INTJs either because none of them are like me. They're not an INTJ like me. I'm happy to stipulate that I'm dumber than everybody. You know, this isn't like me saying I'm such a fucking genius. I'm just saying my context has allowed me to arrive at solutions that nobody else has, apparently, or more crucially, nobody else fucking wants. Nobody else cares about them, right? And again, that's fine. I'm not like crying about it and saying, "Oh, woe is me." I'm just saying I'm in this situation which I don't see many moves to make. You know, it's like stalemate in chess. Only I do have a back and forth thing, and there's no, you know, cancel rule where if you do it 20 times, the game's over. No arbitrary shit like that's going to save me. I'm just moving back and forth in my little spot until either somebody puts me in fucking checkmate or something changes on the outside and I can make a different move. And until then, I see no reason to really, really deeply care about reality. I mean, I'll put in the minimum effort. It's like put up the periscope once a week from your fucking bomb shelter. Do an air sample. It's like, is everything still radioactive? Are there still rad roaches? Is shortwave still completely static? Nobody's fucking talking? Well, another 6 months in the fucking tunnel, you know, I'm not gonna like sit on top of the radio 24 hours a day being like, reality, are you important yet? It's like, because it's fucking not. because it's glacial at this point. And that's ironic in a period of technological singularity where shit is changing so fast you can see it by the day. But I see where it's going, and I see no evidence that where it's going is not where I expect it to go. So I guess that's it. I guess that's the end of the video, and that's why there haven't been videos, because there's nothing else. There's nothing new to talk about. First of all, I can't participate in the economic game. Like, I can't just constantly, like Caitlin, she's like, genocide, 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 genocide. Okay, great. You're right. That's morally urgent, right? But all you're doing is saying the same thing, getting nowhere for money. And maybe I would do the same thing if I could get money from it, but I'm not allowed to have money, right? It's the standard thing, unless I can jump straight to $100,000 a year, which is what it takes to fucking buy a new house, pay for your health insurance, and, you know, that's really it. Pay the rest of the bills. You know, John Goodman's, you're up $2.5 million. Insert the speech from the gambler here. A position of FU, where you're just like, my shit is all squared away. I'm just waiting. You know, I'm not in that position, truly. Like, it's precarious, right? But at the same time, that is where I am. Like, I'm at a point where I don't have to be a slave, because I refuse to. I would rather live in filth and poverty than be a slave. I'd rather be a free slob than a coiffed servant. And, you know, I guess that's just a decision everybody has to make. Maybe I'd be different if the asks were something I could do. You know, it's like nobody's really interested in anything I have to offer except for menial labor, and I'm so bad at that and so physically weak, and I don't want to play Russian roulette. Like, one of the reasons I never learned to drive is because, dude, it's one of the top 3 causes of death. No. And I know my country is doing it wrong too. Like, 90% of the people here drive when they should be in fucking trains. Like, it's always been bullshit. It's always been bullshit. Like, I realized that in the fucking 2nd grade. I was like, this is wrong. This is, like, morally wrong. Like, and I say 2nd grade, I got held back. I don't even remember my first grade. I went to school a year early because I've been able to read as far as I can remember. I think I went to school being able to read, at least, you know, at like a 1st grade level, right? But, you know, I had social problems, so they held me back, and oh boy, that was bad. But anyway, but I just realized this is a prison, and it's oppressive and wrong and dangerous and scary and physically painful, like, you know, headaches and bullies and stuff. And, of course, sleep deprivation torture. It's like, I don't want to fucking wake up and go into, you know, the cold, and it just sucked. You know, it just fucking completely sucked. But it sucked on a level everybody else is, like, totally fucking cool with, especially with inflicting it on their own kids. Like, dude, do you not remember being a fucking kid? I guess you just had a different fucking experience to me. It's like, when I was a kid and I saw all these fucking kids that, like, didn't have shoes, and I'm like, I'm not going to have a kid until I can afford shoes. You know, that's where it started. That was like the fucking ground floor of I'm going to wait. And I just never had accidents, right? How many people are accidents? Fucking a lot, right? So I guess that kind of explains why they don't give a shit, or they don't have options. But, you know, if you don't have options, it's like, why don't people talk like they're in a hostage situation? If you're in a hostage situation, fucking talk about it, especially in a society that pretends to let people talk and feel like they're free. Like, you have the option of saying that. And again, people do, but not in an explicit, useful way. They just snark about how hard it is being a parent. It's like, well, why is it hard? Shouldn't it be fun? Who's making it hard? And of course, you know, fucking the propaganda machine has a ready answer for them. It's like, you should blame yourself. You know, go be a better slave. And it's just all bullshit. And I see no no indication that I'm wrong about any of the core things. So I'm just killing time until such indication pops up or a core thing changes. And I guess that's the end of the video. I don't expect anybody to watch this, but I guess I'm putting it out there for the record, you know, so some kind of legacy posterity shit, or hoping that somebody has some kind of comment that makes it better, or I don't know. I don't know what I hope to achieve here. It's a Hail Mary, I guess. Excuse me. Thanks for watching.